We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. With the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout across the street door and say, the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. Well, I don't story, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, freedom we cherish, we'll make the stands. We're ready up to fight it. Time for our dance.
Dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow. Carry dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they like the way, with courage shining bright today, holding hands through the fights and fears, together against the tide of years. Remember when the hearts stood tall. In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night with passion burning bright. In our little town so serene, where the grass is green and air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh, what a sight, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that'll surely last. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine, working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got too tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Yeah, oh yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts, old love and soul, that may be in our heart, getting like a thought ain't not. In this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild. Love goes to find in our hearts simple ways. We got it by the good old days.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng, with the red banner held.
This is what we hold, values that keep us grounded still. Stand up for what is right, don't let the world make your will. Freedom and balance, it's here to stay. So let's embrace this life our way. Tradition calls, if you don't stand firmly, hold it tight. If you let go the reins, you'll miss your connection. So share a smile today in this community that we build. With love and respect, that's how our hearts can fill. We carry forward, we know our truth. In this great land, it's our time to move. If tight. If you let go of the reins, you'll miss your connection. Let's hold on to our dreams and cherish every moment. With values intact, we trust in them. We find our hope. Tradition calls. If you don't stand firm in your lane, you lose your direction. Hold it tight. If you let go of the reins, you'll miss your connection.
In the heart of the jungle there's a whisper. John Birch, a soldier, takes the lead. With a spirit so brave he conquers darkness. On his mission hear the call, take heed. Through the shadows where wild winds blow, he's seeking the truth where few dare to go. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the wild. With faith in his soul he speaks to the lost, bringing warmth with every tale he tells. Through the valleys and hills where the rivers cross, he fights for the ones who dwell in the shells. With every step he dances with faith, unraveling tales that forever await. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the wild. Through the battles, through the night, he carries a flame, a guiding light. For every soul that's searching for peace in his heart, may the sorrow cease. John in the heart of the wild, John on a journey so styled, John in the heart of the
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
Golden dreams that won't decay, marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now to raise the wind down.
You grab your guitar, I'll take my stand. We'll shout it out loud, the freedom we plan. You lace up your boots, the night's just begun. Oh, we're singing for living.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing. Staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision. In God we make decisions for our dream. True, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Culturama. As usual, it's good to see all the usual people in the chat and more to come. Thank you for joining us here today. We have a lot going on today. There's a lot in the news, a lot to do with foreign entanglements and foreign influence, which is a primary topic of today's episode. But of course, we're going to be talking about a lot more. We're going to be talking about databases and Palantir, as well as Lindsey Graham's vacation to Ukraine, as well as many other things. But I want to thank everyone that has decided to join us today, and I'll be saying hello to each and every one of you here in a moment. But before I continue, I want to urge all of you to please hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, share the link to this stream to all your group chats, to all of your friends, and let's get the word out there so we can all together support Culturama and work together in framing and changing the current discourse that is a zeitgeist of American politics and culture. And that is mainly the goal of this show, is to influence the zeitgeist and influence and recapture and reoccupy the discourse here. So thank you, each and every one of you that does participate in that and does take part in that every day, whether it be with your close friends, with your family, or in politics, for those that are more civically engaged, or someone, people that really don't go out all that much, especially these days with the online world. But regardless of your level of influence and your level of reach, the goal is to reclaim the discourse so we can combat against the infectious elements of postmodernism, communism, and socialism and progressivism that has altered and changed the foundational elements of what made America so great. And that's the primary goal of this show, and as well, it inhibits all the topics. Oh, I'm a little too loud here. Let me change that. It frames all the topics that we discuss here on the show today and all the other previous episodes. So thank you everyone that has joined and participates in that. Let's see here. I want to say hello to all the people in the chat. We have decent viewership right now, but let's change that. We have Nelson at the front gate here. Nelson65, the first person writing howdy. Good to see you, Nelson. It's very good to see you as usual. We have Cecilia H. Welcome, Cecilia. Barney Styles and Bugs Nasty in with the Leo emoji. As always, we can always get more. Once we get more donations in, you never know. We could actually unleash the beast. For those that don't know, Unleashing the Beast is when we hit a certain amount of donations. I usually cap it off at $70. I will unleash my dysgenic creature of a pet. So, but, no pressure for you guys. But we also have a special guest today. He is a returning guest. His name is Chris Brunet. And he is here to talk to us about his newest Substack article, which I'll dive into a little bit later on. That will be halfway through the show. At 6 p.m. Pacific time. I believe that is 9 p.m. EST. We'll have Chris on for an interview in which he will discuss the contents of his new Substack post that is going viral, which talks about a very questionable bill that's trying to be passed right now federally, and how that potentially could infringe on our freedom of speech rights here in America. So we're going to be discussing that and questioning the influence and the foreign entanglements that the United States have been mixed up with for so long. So we'll be touching on that, but until then, we still have a lot more to cover and a bit more to cover after that. But before I get into that and before I get Chris on, okay, I do want to ask you guys this. Are you aware that today is Taco Tuesday? And what do I mean by Taco Tuesday? Well, I'll show you. Everyone... It's a little loud. Happy Taco Tuesday. It is Taco Tuesday today at the Capitol Hill, okay? Representative Jamie Raskin tweeted this. I hear the White House celebrates every day. What could they possibly mean? That's a very sloppy and sad taco if I've ever seen one. Now, I love Mexican food. So I know what good Mexican food looks like. That is not good Mexican food, unfortunately. As you can tell by the comment here, by Axiomatic Enemy of the State, replied with, what the hell is that? Y'all are addicted to embarrassing yourselves. Indeed they are. And what do the Democrats mean when they say Taco Tuesday? Well, taco, for those that don't know, it says it's basically a get at what they say when they... you know what? Let me just play this very non-cringy video for you guys to have an impression of what I mean.
Hey,
can you guys hear that?
Can I help you? What the fuck is up with Trump always chickening out on tariffs?
Okay, no answer. Just eating that Taco Bell. Okay, very appetizing.
Anything else? No, that's it.
So taco stands for Trump always chickening out, for those that are unaware, and that is the new Democrat slogan. And they're trying to get it out there, trying to get it within the discourse, like we've been saying. So, instead of, going and getting authentic Mexican food, I suppose if they're going to really go in all in on this, they might as well have gotten an authentic taco, but instead they went to Taco Bell and he got himself a crunchy taco shell there. This tweet says the Democrats think that having a congressman eat Taco Bell and an aide say the F word, by the way, trigger warning for those that are sensitive to that. Sorry, the trigger warning is supposed to come before the video. But it will undo their brand image. And indeed, this is slightly embarrassing here, but we have this Democrat congressman saying this, so...
What the fuck is up with Trump always chickening out on tariffs?
Taco, Trump always chickens out, right? Well, as we will come to see with the remainder of this episode, that is not exactly true. Now, I will say the Democrats probably will need a new rebranding image, not have been going through the easiest time ever since the election period, of course. They've replaced their top guy with a woman that could barely formulate a coherent sentence, and then lost. and then have been, kind of bent out of shape since then. And people have been saying that the Democrats have been very low energy, like Jeb Bush kind of energy, because they had their land acknowledgements during their party elections, of course. Not the best look for them. David Hogg was supposed to be one of the chairs, or what has had an official position within the party, and that didn't happen. He got voted out because he wasn't gay, queer, or female enough. Maybe it was too white. I don't know. The Democrats not looking so well. So the best they can do to maintain their relevancy online was to come up with a very witty, smart acronym. And so what they thought to themselves was, we need an acronym, but it also needs to be food related. People love food. This is a thing that a lot of businesses and companies will do, is that when they're trying to market something, they think if it's food related, it will be, it's going to get caught up really quickly. It will be like wildfire, get caught up in the zeitgeist immediately, especially by the youth. This is why Turning Point, a lot of their kits, if you guys haven't noticed, is very food centric. Don't ask me to get into it. If you pay attention to a lot of their branding, especially when it's for females, they focus on food branding. All their stickers, all their memorabilia, it harkens to like Starbucks logos, Dunkin' Donuts, things like that, because food it releases a valve in our brain. So the best thing they could come up with, perhaps, is like the oldest trick in the book. They want to reference food, and they decided, I suppose, with a more Latino dish. Tacos. But it seems like no matter what Democrats try to do to stay relevant or hip or fun or exciting or just, somehow prescient within the current conversation, it always falls flat. And even with this video, it falls extremely flat, in my opinion. But you guys let me know. Do you think this is really fun and exciting? You think it's funny is my question. Do you guys think this is funny? The conversation about whether the left can meme or not has never been more relevant. It seems like they keep outdoing themselves, actually, the Democrats. Just when they do one thing to stay relevant, the whole Charlie, XCX thing, with the Brat album, it seems like every time they try to stay relevant, try to immerse themselves within meme culture, even for a brief moment online. Dark Brandon, I guess, somewhat made of an impact, but I wouldn't even say that was really all that funny. So it goes to show that it's just one of those things. It's one of those things that really must be studied. Why is the left so incapable of properly ingratiating themselves within meme culture, within online culture, or even just relevancy whatsoever within young people? It's very, very interesting. It seems to have fallen flat since Obama, actually.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
I'm getting ahead of myself, though. Welcome to the chat, JJ. Good to see you. Nelson writes, ours looks better. I don't eat Mexican food because of the spice that tastes like soap. Really? It's very interesting, Nelson65. I've never heard of anyone describe spice tasting like soap, but I love Mexican food. I will say I do love the recipes. I love the food. The culture is very fun. Criminality that's so common in Mexico, not too fond of, not too excited about coming into this country. However, great people, great culture, great food. Anyways. Okay, guys, for those that are just coming in, we do have a special interview today with a special returning guest, Chris Brunet. I'll be bringing him on. We're going to be talking about freedom of speech and how it is presently, he articulates, being attacked within the United States with present legislation. So we'll be talking about that and much more today. Of course, I want to talk about Trump's relationship with Bibi Netanyahu, which is under fire, it seems like. At least that's what the press is saying. I want to talk about Palantir, Peter Thiel, and much more if you guys stick around. It is Tuesday, so I can stay around longer. So please, thank you so much for staying. And I will be right back. I'm going to pull up my next few stories before we get Chris Burnett on. If you are here to watch him, he'll be on within the next 30 minutes, everybody. So give me a second. I will be right back, everyone. And Nelson's writing, it's cilantro, also known as coriander, is a spice that some people perceive to taste like soap. I'm aware of this. It's a genetic abnormality, I believe, Nelson's 65. So due to their genetic variations, I'm glad I'm not one of those people. Although soap doesn't taste all that bad if you swing that way. If you have a vitamin or a mineral deficiency, soap will actually taste quite well. Okay, guys. Quick commercial break. I will be right back, and Chris Brunet will be on with us within the next 30 minutes. But before then, I'm going to be talking about a little bit more on the news, especially as it relates to Trump's relationship with Netanyahu. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, everybody.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Qatar, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Qatar, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. The employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, we are back. Welcome to Culturama, everyone. Foreign entanglements, big payouts, vacations, okay? This is something that we are well aware that our officials, our legislators, and our leaders are all engaging with. This is not new. If you are at least, somewhat aware or well-read or somewhat read in politics or have experienced in politics, you would know that our leaders are easily corrupted. And politics is an inherently corrupting force. This is why we should always be skeptical of anyone that's involved within these positions of power or even in these spheres of influence, because even if you're headed towards that trajectory or are somewhat tangentially related to those networks of power, you too will get corrupted. And this is obviously something I also talk about on this show, but want to remind the viewers, I am, of course, for the most part, a right-leaning libertarian. I believe that limited government is the best government. Ideally, we would have none, but that's not really possible. However, we do need to be skeptical of the powers that be, and we must do everything in our power to limit them and their overreach over every aspect of our lives. And of course, not only will that save us money, it will save us our sanity. And once in a while, you'll come across a story like this. Once in a while, you'll come across a story. You will see figureheads like Elon Musk make a tweet like this. Okay, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Elon Musk tweeted this, believe it was today. In November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people. And what is he referencing exactly in this tweet? Well, this tweet right here. Okay, let me get this straight, says this person on Twitter. The GOP are out there, number one, spending millions of our money on luxury hotels in Ukraine. Number two, not voting on any Doge cuts. Number three, spending 60% of their time on vacation. And number four, not codifying executive orders. This is, of course, an issue we've been running into over and over and over again with the Trump admin, getting these EOs into place. Some you may agree with, some you may not. Obviously, I've covered that too in my show. And, it's not always perfect, but we also want to better the country. And when you have a legislator that is a highly inept, a GOP that is completely dead and inept, because that's essentially what they are. Trump had to contract services to get the vote out through organizations like Turning Point Action and not rely on the RNC, or at least he did, but it clearly wasn't effective. At any rate, with an empty husk of what it once was, that being the GOP, but that also includes its legislators, is this a major reform the American people have voted for? And is this the conservative stalwarts, are these the conservative stalwarts or the GOP that we frankly believe in or should be believing in? No. What exactly is he referencing? Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of the story, but this is a story of Lindsey Graham's vacation to, alleged vacation. I put in quotes, if you're just listening to this through a podcast, alleged vacation to Ukraine, okay? I will never be able to go to Ukraine. Hopefully one day I will. I can't go to Ukraine, but Lindsey Graham, the home of my ancestors, but Lindsey Graham can on our dime and on my dime as well. So if I can't go to Ukraine, at least I'm living vicariously through Lindsey Graham. But this is what Nick Sortor tweeted. Let's see here. Just today as well. People love whining in my comment section when I say Congress takes a lot of vacations. They're not on vacation. They're working in their districts. BS. Lindsey Graham was just partying in Ukraine on our dime. When did Lindsey Graham become a senator from Ukraine? What exactly is he referencing here? Of course, here's a video of him shaking Zelensky's hand there.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having us. No, we are very glad. Happy to see you. 7-3.
Mr. President, such
Good to see you. It's really good to come, especially now. Thank you, Chris.
And there he is. And I don't know if you guys can see this little audit here, but that number you see here for his trip to Ukraine is well over $400,000, you guys, $400,000 for a trip of Ukraine. Now the description reads, if you guys can see that right behind me, it highlights it under hotel accommodations. Okay. But what hotel? I don't know how long he was there for. It couldn't have been, more than a week, right? What hotel in Ukraine, which is effectively a third world country, if it wasn't before, it certainly is at this point, would cost over $400,000? Absolutely ridiculous. I don't need to reiterate this point, obviously, and we all can agree that this is a bit much for a hotel. Now, Lindsey Graham, here's another tweet basically discussing this. Don't worry, Lindsey Graham's $400,000 hotel Ukraine bill was approved by himself. Nothing to see here, okay? We've just seen this. Now, Lindsey Graham came back. He shot back and he said that this tweet that people are sharing out is BS. Where is the original tweet here? Fake news, more BS. If you guys if you can see the tweet behind me once again, this is what Lindsey Graham responded with. It's fake news, more BS. I'm all in on trying to help President Donald Trump end this war and making sure Putin doesn't win. This isn't a travel expense report, he claims. It's a monthly contract between the State Department of U.S. diplomats in a war zone, nothing to do with my trip. I don't do audits. I don't know how these things work. Okay. I'm just a woman online that doesn't really know too much about money. Okay. But when the description reads hotel accommodations, I would presume my initial inclination is to think that these were put towards hotel accommodations. So, but I could be wrong. That's Lindsey Graham's response. So if you guys, whatever you take from it, so be it. But let's quickly read this article to give us an outline of what's exactly happening here and why exactly Musk hit back so strongly. Trump ally Lindsey Graham calls out Elon Musk's BS after tech titan throws his credibility under the bus. Senator Lindsey Graham snapped back at Tesla CEO Elon Musk after the tech titan, I love how they say that, shared a post alleging that he was responsible for nearly $1 million in spending hotel rooms in Ukraine. Musk reposted a tweet which accused Graham of spending over $400,000 on hotel rooms. Social media influencer Nick Sortor made the original post with allegations, which has amassed over 10 million views on Twitter just before 11 a.m. today. Wild stuff. People love whining we just read that tweet. People love whining in my comment section when I say Congress takes a lot of vacations. People will always go up to bat for their representatives, right? They're working on their districts, but that simply doesn't seem to be the case. Clearly, if you look at the audit there, Lindsey Graham had spent, approved by him, by the way, over $400,000 on this trip. A screenshot of a spending disbursement of over $400,000 made by the U.S. Department of State to an organization in Ukraine, forwarded by the International Business Center TOV, or TOV, was also included in the post. We need a full audit of this. Musk reposted Sortor's post, adding, "Why is this bill so high? The room service must be incredible." Do you think that the room service in Ukraine is incredible right now? I've never been. Maybe it is, but it's unimaginable to me to think that it would be over $400,000. Okay, let's see here. We just read this tweet. Fake news, more BS, and Lindsey Graham said that it's a monthly contract. Now, maybe someone can explain this to me in the comments. If the audit said that it was for hotel accommodations, wouldn't that be the case? He said that it was a monthly contract. Lindsey Graham said it was a monthly contract, whatever that means, between the State Department for U.S. diplomats at a war zone. Nothing to do with my trip. Very strange. Per data available, and I'll read this word for word here. Per data available on U.S. spending, the International Business Center TOV has received over $8 million marked as hotel spending. Okay, en masse. That group has received money from the American government in 23, 24, and 2025. Well, we need a complete audit of this basically $8.6 million. It's 8.59. And I think it would benefit the American people to see a breakdown of what's exactly going on here. We need we need them to go on a few. What's that famous on that online YouTube finance show where the guy goes over the person's audits that doesn't spend money all that well? You know what I mean? Who spends too much on their credit card? We need something like that for the U.S. government. That's what Doge was originally supposed to be, but clearly, in some respects, as we have talked about last week, or I believe, yes, it was last week, their hands are a bit tied. While the allegations continue to gain steam on social media today, Musk's own Grok AI classified the ex-boss's claims as misinformation. There's no evidence, technically, supporting the claims that GOP spending on luxury hotels in Ukraine. Such narratives may stem from misinformation. The idea that Congress spends 60% of their own time on vacation is exaggerated. This is coming from Grok. Really interesting. Also goes to show that perhaps Elon Musk isn't so much of a tyrant as well, like people say, at least over his own platforms. As I work about 133 days in session with other time spent on district duties, said a Grok reply to a post made by an ex-user on Matt Van Swole's reads. Senator Graham has been on one of Ukraine's most vocal advocates. I wonder why. I wonder if it has to do with the fact that he goes to very nice hotels and, has fine room service. Again, this is all alleged. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening here. Lindsay said that it had nothing to do with his trip. Absolutely nothing. So I can't, this is all alleged. But can we take a step back for a second and really look at this objectively and say that this is really the case? Do you guys think that legislators, public officials don't abuse the system a little bit and don't get the money to do these things? We are all aware the private jets, the trips, and now the hotel fees. So Senator Graham has been one of Ukraine's most vocal advocates throughout the course of the nation's war with Russia, taking several trips to the country in recent years. Former White House strategist Steve Bannon accused Graham of working against the wishes of President Trump, during his trips on an episode of his War Room podcast. Very interesting. The White House has to condemn this immediately and pull all support and tell Lindsey Graham to come home, or we are going to put you under arrest when you come home. You're stirring it up, said Bannon. Okay? Times are not looking good for Mr. Lindsey. We have $5 from Quest Fanning. Thank you so much, Quest Fanning, for joining the stream today. You wrote, sorry we're late. Franny has $5 for you. Well, thank you so much for your generosity. That's amazing and very generous, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we also have $2 from Quest Fanning. Once again, Quest, always coming in strong. Thank you so much. You wrote, Lindsay whistles when he, what does that say? The towels, that's all my insight. Very true, Quest. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. And hey, that's an extra $7 towards the Leo goal today, so thank you. But Lindsay is not farts. Okay, I was going to say, Fatal's farts. Lindsay whistles when he farts. That's all I have as insight, says Quest. That's all we really have to say about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, obviously not the only person to abuse his position to do this. As Nelson65 is just in the chat, the abuse in the system happens a lot, and that's absolutely true. And like I've said, and like I've opened up this story with, just to prompt you guys, but to wet the whistle a little bit. But it's quite obvious. I think we are all aware of the long-term effects of what happens when someone gets involved within these networks of power. It happens every single time. Power is a corrupting force, and inevitably, one way or another, you will justify improper use of funds or systems to benefit yourself. This is inevitable, and for us to speak that this never happens to a specific individual that you perhaps idealize or you like in there, in that position, isn't accurate. It's always going to happen. Some degrees for, some lesser degrees for others. but it happens regardless. And it's only the public's, the conglomerate, or I'm sorry, the collective of the United States and of the American people who are truly invested in this country and, don't have partisan allyships with other nations, as we will discuss further in this stream. But people that are fully invested in this country, have roots here, has a heritage here. We must collectively speak to these abuses of power and, expose them for what they are in the moment. Transparency, obviously, is an issue that I'm very much passionate about. Two things I'm very much passionate about. It's governmental transparency, obviously, which is the main mission of Doge, and it always was, which I was very much behind. But also free speech. And as we will come to talk later, within the next 12 minutes of this show, has to do with free speech. And that's another thing that is actively being attacked within the United States, but it's something that I don't see a lot of people talked about. And it has to do with our foreign entanglements internationally, specifically, in this case, as we'll talk about with Chris Brunet, it seems to be Israel now. So we're going to be talking about him, his claims, and his article. Within the next 12 minutes, I think you guys are really going to enjoy this interview. It will be a very hard-hitting interview. It will be a hard one to sit through because you will really be exposed to the inherent abuses that are taking place within the country of the United States. It has happened in Canada. And now the authoritarian, draconian systems that are being experienced in Canada are coming into here in the United States, and we're going to be talking about that. But before I do that, I wanted to touch on this subject here. Stunning report in Israel media suggests that President Trump is taking control of the U.S.-Israel relationship and removing foreign influence from his administration in general. Now, you would think that most people would be happy about this. And I would say a lot of Americans are. They want to be happy about this. Because what the Trump admin is doing, or has said they were going to do, and what a lot of people have been waiting for, is for President Donald Trump, removing foreign influence from his administration and from the further influence of over the American people. And it seems like foreign actors are not too happy with this move and these changes. Of course, we see a lot of people within the GOP, within the conservative movement, debate this and say, whether the Trump administration is actually effectively doing that or not, whether they truly are reforming immigration systems as well or not. But we are seeing moves slowly happening within the administration and within who Trump sidelines in the conversation and who he doesn't sideline. And it seems like Trump is keeping close to his chest people that foreign actors are not too happy with, including Trump Jr., Tucker Carlson, and J.D. Vance. Israeli sources in particular are not too happy about this. Under President Trump, the U.S. will be the senior partner dictating terms, and Israel the junior partner. Israel's sources are said to fear the influence of Trump Jr., Tucker Carlson, and J.D. Vance. Let's read this article quickly before we get Chris Brunet on. This is from Ynet. Concern in Israel over U.S. administration shakeup of pro-Israel officials. Dismissals of top pro-Israel officials in Washington spark concern as Trump's America First, it says in quotes, agenda sidelines allies. Netanyahu allies say figures like Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance now shape U.S. policy moving forward. Deepening rift over Iran and Gaza. We'll skim this briefly. We have 10 minutes left. And it will pave the way for the interview we have coming forward. But Israel officials are expressing growing concern over a series of unexpected personnel changes, okay? Of these included Tim Walz. Within the U.S. administration, particularly involving individuals widely seen as so strongly supportive of Israel. The reshuffling comes amid rising tensions between U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over a potential strike on Iran and the ongoing war in Gaza. Two senior officials recently removed from their posts are Merav, I cannot pronounce the name, Merav Seren, I believe, a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen who was only recently appointed as head of the Iran and Israel portfolio at the National Security Council, okay? And also including Eric Traeger, who oversees Middle East and North Africa. Both have been appointed by former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. I said Tim Waltz. I'm sorry, I meant Mike Waltz. A staunch supporter of Israel, who was himself dismissed by Trump. Their removal was reportedly carried out by Waltz's successor, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio has been really going in hard lately. So, per what the American people seems to have voted for. Another high-profile figure expected to depart is Morgan Ortagus, Deputy to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and handling the Lebanon portfolio. So there she is. Ortagus, who converted to Judaism and wears a Star of David necklace, is considered one of the strongest supporters of Israel within administration. She played a key role in ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Lebanon and in persuading the Lebanese government to take a firm stance against Hezbollah. Okay, understandable. Some will be concerned about this, especially those who are aligned with Israel interests. As well as, in some part, you could even say American interests, foreign interests. I understand the necessity of maintaining the Western hold over the Middle East and retaining peace there to, a certain extent. I understand it's an Islamic hellhole over there, or it potentially could be. So obviously, maintaining positive relationship with Israel is perhaps to our benefit. And I'm not denying that. But it's also interesting to see that just a mere reshuffling of figureheads is enough to draw concerns here. Is it warranted or is it not? I don't know. I can't say that I'm not a foreign analysis. I'm not a foreign analysis expert. I'm not an international relations expert. I mean, I took courses in it in my poli-sci degree, but that's bachelor level. But I cannot tell you for certain whether or not the influences of J.D. Vance or Trump Jr. would necessarily be a negative as far as international relations are concerned. But what I can say is that as far as American interests are concerned, it perhaps is to our benefit and to the United States' benefit and the people of the United States to at least put America First officials, people that are pushing America First policies, ahead of the administration in foreign policy relations first, before we look to others in doing so. I gear a little bit towards more an isolationist view of the world, so perhaps that's just me. So it remains to be seen how effective this move is, but it's also very interesting to see how these figureheads are immediately concerned as soon as changes occur. Okay, let's go through here a little bit. The choice of Rubio to remove the two officials has raised eyebrows, given his well-established pro-Israel record. However, insiders note that while Rubio remains supportive of Israel, he is not as closely aligned with the Israeli agenda as his predecessor, Waltz. Above all, they describe Rubio as pragmatic and attuned to the prevailing political winds in Washington. Ultimately, sources say the push to remove pro-Israel figures is being led by Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., and Vice President J.D. Vance. This is true. I'm glad this article brought this up. Yes, Marco Rubio is very well understood to be pro-Israel. He has a very positive pro-Israel record. And yet they are concerned that under his purview, just because a few officials are moved around, they're not too happy about that. Netanyahu has reportedly confided in closed-door discussions with his confident Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer that he misjudged the direction of the U.S. was taking on Israel and the broader Middle East. And following this, of course, they can say all this about Trump, which is really interesting. And I've been talking about how the legislature hasn't been really keen on passing laws in benefit of the Trump administration and America First policies that the administration is trying to push. But they are discussing a very interesting act, and it's called the AAA Act. I'm gonna look it up specifically for you guys. There is an act that they are pursuing at this moment. And it's called The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act of 2025. I'm sorry, yes, it's 2025, math. And as you can see, there is no summary yet. The summary is still in progress. So it's just introduced. It's currently within the process, and the sausage is still being made. But this is one of the acts that might get through, might get passed, and I want to talk about it with my guest, Chris Brunet. Now, as well as other things, but we have $1 by Quest Fanning. Thank you so much, Quest Fanning. You wrote, what is Chris's ad on Twitter? I'll pull that up for you here in a moment. Let me get my Twitter here. This is Chris Brunet, Quest Fanning. And you can find him at Real Chris Brunet. So there you go. I'm going to be talking about his article, and I need to have the article up here. So let me pull up the article, and it's his article on Substack. You can follow him on Substack under Carl Stack. Like I said, we've had him on here before, but under Carl Stack. This is his article, and we're going to be talking about it here live within the next couple minutes. So I have to bring him on. But we're going to be talking about the AAA Act of 2025, which is what I call it, the AAA Act, as well as an overall breach of our First Amendment rights here in the United States. So, you know, we're gonna dive into this conversation and have it with him. So, stay tuned, everyone. This will be a very interesting interview. I think you're going to get a lot from it. And I'll bring him on.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Qatar, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Qatarama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hayford doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way.
Welcome, everyone, and I have with me the legendary Chris Brunet, a returning guest here on Culturama. Chris, how are you doing today? And give us a rundown of this article that you've written. I know it's bringing up a storm on social media, and I wanted to touch on it with you because it has some very interesting information there that I don't see a lot of people talking about. But just give us a quick introduction with the guests here today about who you are and what really prompted you to write this article.
Sure. Well, the reason why you don't see guests talking, or why you don't see many people talking about the attack on the First Amendment, is because the media in America is controlled by Zionist occupied media, I would say.
Mm.
So, like, if you turn on Fox News, I'm sure maybe not in this sphere, but if you are just like driving in your car and you turn on the radio, you're not going to hear anyone talking about the influence that the Israel lobby has over your politicians, right? And that's something I was not aware of, or maybe I was, but I kind of pushed it back to the back of my mind for years and years, because I started out my career like going back all the way to college. Like, I never took a class on the Middle East. Like, I never read any books about Israel. It wasn't something I was interested in. Like, I was an economist, and then I worked as an economist.
Sure.
And then even when I transitioned from being an economist into working in media, like I worked for a couple like mainstream conservative outlets,
Mm-hmm.
I was writing about academia, or I was writing about just like safe conservative topics, like woke, DEI.
Sure, like culture war stuff, basically.
Yeah, culture war
Yes.
stuff, or like academic scandals. Like, that was my beat, academic scandals. And like, slowly over the past 2 or 3 years, like, it's been impossible to ignore the influence of Zionism in Western society, just because like it's that is what I see as the biggest existential threat to freedom and to freedom of speech, and to just really like having a government that's run by the people and not run by foreign interests or lobby groups. Like, the fact that there's money in politics that AIPAC can control is a big mistake in the first place. And so
Yeah.
that filters down, and then AIPAC controls your politicians, and it's all really coming into focus for me over the past couple of years. So that's why I started tweeting about it. But more specifically, the reason why I started talking about it is because my biggest scoop, like as a journalist, was the Claudine Gay story a couple of years ago, when she was pushed out as president of Harvard. And I was working with like the Manhattan Institute on that story.
Right.
And I did not realize the extent to which they were just a front for Israel, basically. Like, if you're working
Interesting.
for the Manhattan Institute, you're essentially working directly for Bibi Netanyahu. Like, that's simplifying it, but that's how I see it now. And so when I was writing about Claudine Gade's plagiarism, she got caught for really bad plagiarism. That was happening. And we were working with billionaire and hedge fund manager Bill Ackman on that story. Like he was the guy, he was the face of it. He was running point. And then his wife got caught for plagiarism at the same time. And I was told in like multiple group chats, and I was pulled aside privately, and I got phone calls, and they were like, you can't look into his wife's plagiarism. And I thought we were here like investigating academic corruption or academic research misconduct. So that really pissed me off, because like I was there very naive, and I was trying to investigate academic fraud, but then it really turned out I was like being used as a tool for Israel.
Right, right. You describe in the article that there are 38 states in the United States that have anti-boycotting laws. Could you describe in like what boycotting means in the article because you know, I want my viewer, because my viewers didn't read the article. So like, and there's a certain percentage of those, or a certain amount of states. It was through executive order from the government, but most it was passed. What does boycott mean for people?
So every state is a little bit different, but what it means, these are laws prohibiting state agencies from contracting with or investing in companies that boycott Israel.
Okay.
And so the first state to pass one of these laws was in 2017. It was Texas, which I was surprised about, because like you think Texas, you think freedom, or that's what I used to think.
Right.
And so in Texas, ever since 2017, you can boycott California, you can boycott Canada, you can boycott companies in Cambodia or Palestine, but you can't boycott Israel for any reason whatsoever, no matter what. And the way they enforce it is that they require anyone who works for the state, or even is tangentially working for the state, to sign a pledge saying that they do not and will not boycott Israel while they're working with the state. And obviously, like, the state is the biggest employer, or one of the biggest employers, and this encompasses the first challenge to this law in Texas was a teacher in Palestine, or a teacher in Texas, who was working at a public school. So like, a public school teachers are covered by these laws, and she worked for that school for 9 years, and as a condition of her employment, as soon as this law came into effect in 2017, she was forced to sign a new clause in a contract that says she won't boycott Israel, and so she refused to do that, and she was fired. But the worst example, I would say, was that same year in 2017, when Hurricane Harvey hit, which was I think the deadliest or most expensive hurricane in Texas history. Right. It caused $100 billion of damage, like killed 100 people. And there was a town in Texas called Dickinson, Texas. It's near Houston. And they required that anyone who wanted hurricane aid relief to rebuild their town that was wiped out by a hurricane, they had to sign a pledge saying they will not boycott Israel.
It's very strange, yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, as a conservative, I don't know how any conservative in America can defend that, other than purely playing a power game for the Israel lobby. Like, so there are no conservative principles at play there.
Right, exactly. And that's what I liked about what you said in the article in the beginning, is that the American founding, essentially, and the American identity is wrapped up in sort of like a boycott, you could say, right? And infringing upon our free speech rights like that is very concerning. Now, are you aware of us having these? Because I'm not actually like as educated on this until I read your article. Do we see this happening with any other country, or is it just Israel where we have these boycott laws specifically as far as like other countries are concerned?
Well, another aspect of the assault on free speech in America that's happening is the International Holocaust Remembrance Association's definition of anti-Semitism, IHRA. And that's what I talk about in my article, and that's what Texas is bringing in a big way too on a state level.
Right.
So in Texas, they've codified the IHRA definition to encompass hate crimes. So it's a hate crime, not to say something bad about Israel. You can say like you can compare Israel to Nazis, or you can say that Pontius Pilate didn't kill Jesus. Like that's one of the examples in Texas state law. You can't say Jews killed Jesus. You have to say Pontius Pilate killed Jesus.
Really? Okay.
Right. And so that's codified in Texas state law. But the reason why I'm bringing that up now is because the question you asked, is this happening anywhere else? I'm not an expert on BDS laws like in Europe or Canada or South America, but I do know that IHRA free speech laws are going into effect in like virtually every country in the world right now.
I see.
Most countries in Europe have adopted them. Like most countries in Western society have adopted them. And it's a naked power grab, I would say, to stifle and to suppress speech.
No, absolutely. My question to you is: you said that the initial time period we see this happening was post 2017, right? As far as Israel is concerned, I know that like this. We have seen something like this happen before, for instance, like with the Espionage Act and World War I. So I know like things like this have occurred in the past with the United States, but do you see this happening more now, especially as far as Israel is concerned, or do you think that all throughout American history this has sort of been like a facet depending on who we are aligning with within that certain time period? I know since October 7th, the United States has been, more or less taken a side on this issue. Do you think this has to do more with that event, or is it an ongoing problem within American history and how foreign lobbying is concerned?
I would say that a problem in American history, or as far as I can remember when I've been alive, is that whenever there's a catalyzing event, like 9/11, for example, was used to push through the Patriot Act.
Right.
And I remember, like, I was 9 years old, and I was very mad about the Patriot Act, even though I didn't really know the details. But it's always just been like I've always been pro-liberty, basically.
Yes.
And so in the same way that 9/11 was used as an excuse to crack down on civil liberties, October 7th is the new 9/11 or the new Holocaust, and they're using that as like a landmark event to crack down on civil liberties. You can even see it like this past month. There were those two staffers at the Israeli embassy in Washington who were shot.
Yeah.
And as a result, now Congress is trying to push nationwide anti-free speech laws, and they're using that as a justification. And even like yesterday or 2 days ago, there was that firebombing attack, which I'm obviously not endorsing firebombing people, but
we don't do
I'm
that
also
yet.
not
That's
endorsing.
absolutely correct. Coach Trauma does not endorse it either. Very true. Thank you for clarifying.
Right, but you see all the congressmen now coming out and saying we need to declare this group a terrorist group, and that group a terrorist group, and that group a terrorist group. They're going after anyone they can, and it's clear that they're weaponizing anything they can to push through these laws that they already wanted to push through but haven't had the public support to push through yet.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was talking about earlier on this stream today, is that you do see, like, as far as, and this is kind of like an obvious, because I'm a libertarian, it's kind of like an obvious talking point, but how corrupting how corrupting that power is and government power is, and how it seems like inevitably, regardless of who takes, certain positions of power in the U.S. government, they will do whatever it takes, or they will utilize these catalyzing events to, like you said, take our civil liberties, and that's essentially what's happening here, and it has been happening. It seems like at least throughout modern American past. And it's quite unfortunate that they're using the issue of October 7th and what happened to those two diplomats just the other week to push this. Now, I understand that the bill, the American Anti-Semitism Bill 2025, now, you mentioned that in your article that has just been introduced. Is that correct? So it's still brand new. It's not like it hasn't. I couldn't even find a summary online. So is it still just in the preliminary stages, or do you see it being passed like pretty quickly?
I believe they tried to pass it last year, like in 2024.
Right. Yeah.
And it kind of died because it was such an egregious. It was stripping so many rights. Like they just knew they couldn't get it through, so it died. But now they're trying again in 2025 because Republicans are in power, basically, and they think they have a better shot at getting it through. So it was introduced in both the House and the Senate in February 2025, and it's called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act of 2025. And I mean, obviously, the people that introduced it were, first of all, Democrats and Republicans. So this isn't a partisan issue. This is a Congress being captured by foreign interests issue, I would say. And everyone who sponsored the bill is obviously bringing in hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from AIPAC. And so, yes, it was introduced in 2025, and it was actually set to be put to a vote on the House floor on May 5th, which was less than a month ago.
Right.
And the night before it was supposed to be put for a vote, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she came out against it. Like, she was the one who was the first to speak out against it. And she said, I will be, quote, I will be voting no. It is my job to defend America's right to buy or boycott whomever they choose without the government harshly fining them or imprisoning them. But what I don't understand is why are we voting on a bill on behalf of other countries and not for our country, end quote. And if you actually look at what the bill does, like it first of all fines up to $1 million or 20 years in jail for boycotting Israel. And technically, it's called the IGO Anti-Boycott Act, which, because the mechanism, the way it works, ostensibly, is that it targets international organizations who sponsor the boycott. So, like, if the UN said, "Oh, we're okay with a boycott," or "We want a boycott," and then Walmart complied with that boycott, it would target Walmart.
I see.
And so the proponents of the bill say, oh, it's only going to be used like for big corporations who want to comply with international organizations. But first of all, the earlier draft of the bill was called the Anti-Israel Boycott Act. So it's not for everybody. It's for Israel.
I see.
And the language is very broad and very vague, kind of in who it targets. So it has a 20-year jail sentence in it, right? That's not going to be used for like the CEO of Walmart. That is going to be used for citizens who say, I want to boycott Israel, or I want to boycott, Israel is the country they're boycotting. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene came out against it. It caused a huge, huge fight on Twitter and like in real life. Because, well, that's where she came. Twitter is real life because she came out for the first time against the bill on Twitter. So you can like make jokes about, oh, it's just a tweet, but that's where the legislation is playing out.
Oh
on
yeah,
Twitter.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, no, there's a lot of influence on Twitter. I actually saw the other day or yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, you mentioned Thomas Massey as well, because he's in the same in the same line as MTG on this. And you actually said that, did he initially block you actually on Twitter?
Right. Well, he blocked me years ago because I made like I don't even know what I said. I like trolled him with a lazy reply.
Right.
And
then
so
he like outright
credit to
blocked
him.
you.
Like I asked him to unblock me,
Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah, so there was enough of an uproar where he took a look at it, and there you go. You have connection to not only a congressman, but now he's aware of who you are, like actually, not because of some flippant comment. And no, people who say that Twitter or like online spaces like this, but especially Twitter, doesn't make any like changes is not true. Like I personally have like crazy stories about connections I made online just through Twitter, and it's quite effective. So absolutely. But so that's why it's important that we still go out and we write these articles, we make these posts just to not only make the American people aware of these things, obviously, because I was unaware of all of this until I read your article. The stipulations in the state of Texas are actually quite egregious, I would say. Especially on behalf of a foreign country. I don't understand why in the United States we have these, but that's my personal opinion on the matter. Now, but I did want to ask you this question. I don't know if you were watching the stream before you came on here, but I was talking about Donald Trump's relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, and I understand that he's been kind of back and forth on the issue. I was wondering if you have an opinion on this, where people are now getting concerned that because Donald Trump has shifted out Mike Waltz from this, and other pro-Israel figureheads from his administration, and he's keeping closer to his chest the input of like Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance, and some articles have stated Tucker Carlson. People are now concerned that Donald Trump's relationship with, as far as like Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, is put into question. Now, given that, I can't say with certainty that Trump will go one direction or the other, but it does seem to be that he is at least pursuing more America first, so to say, policies, or at least in the future he will be. What do you think the future is of the popularity of this act? Or, as far as an administration is concerned, do you think that the Trump administration would be, because I know what we think about the GOP, but what do you think about the Trump administration and from the influences of people like J.D. Vance, as far as this act is concerned? Do you think that at least members of that administration would be, I don't know, I guess my question is, do you think Trump would agree to this act, or do you think he would probably take a look at it and say, it probably puts into question the legitimacy of rights of the American people?
I am very pessimistic about Donald Trump ever pushing back against the Israel lobby. Well, he's been explicit about what he wants in Gaza. He wants Gaza to be bulldozed.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that people have to go somewhere else, which is, in other words, ethnic cleansing. And I think he does like fight and posture. I think he's posturing especially right now because like negotiations are just starting up with Iran, right?
Right.
And so like they'll pretend to say something about, Iran can enrich nuclear weapons. No, they can't. Yes, they can. No, they can't. And I think they're kind of just fighting for like to put on a show, and ultimately I think he will do whatever Israel or the Israel lobby wants, and it's up to like the few remaining free thinkers, I would say, like say what you will about Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massey, but they think for themselves and they act for themselves, and Rand Paul acts for himself.
True.
And even like on the other side of the aisle, there are lefties that act for themselves, and they like care more about the Constitution than about the Israel lobby. And so I would say these people are a minority in Congress and definitely a minority in the Senate. And like J.D. Vance, I'm not really sure where he stands. Like he's doesn't seem to be overtly a shill for the Zionist lobby. Like I think he might be one of the better guys. But really Trump and the people Trump surrounds himself with are hardcore Zionists, and like there are like very few dissenting voices, and so people like Thomas Massey, like, I'm trying to like boost him and get his message out there, because you said you cover politics for a living and you weren't aware of this bill or the details of it, and so the reason why I wrote the article is because I have X amount of subscribers, and I would say, like, on my Substack, I should say, and like 95% of them have families and have jobs, and they're not online all day, and so they've never heard of the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. They've never heard of the Anti-Boycott Act, going federal, and so I just wanted to get the story out there, and like, I mean, it got my average article, I would say, gets about 15,000 reads. And so if 15,000 people read that article, then maybe a dozen on the conservative end change their mind, and like maybe one or two of those dozen are someone with influence. And so, I mean, I'm just doing my small parts in media. Like I have a very modest platform, but I'm doing what I can to fight for the First Amendment and fight against these unconstitutional, like foreign interests. That's
Right.
what it is. I think like Zionists really resent the Constitution because, I mean, that's just been my experience over the past 2 or 3 years. Like what I've seen is that these are the people who are most in favor of censorship, and they're the most favor of censorship on college campuses, in businesses, like cancel culture. Sorry, my dog's barking. You want to meet him or no?
Oh yes, please bring him on. We're a dog-friendly stream here.
Oh, I'm getting a no.
Oh, he doesn't want it. It's okay.
Oh.
Maybe his camera.
Well, we're afraid about OPSEC here.
Oh,
that
gotcha.
Our dog might dox us.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. I do want to thank you for doing your due diligence and educating the American people, because like I said, I wasn't aware of this when I was reading through your article. It was just especially the part where Greg Abbott said that you mentioned the George Floyd bit, where he said that was the what did he say? He said that was like the greatest tragedy he's ever come across after Hurricane Harvey happened. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will read the quote to you right now.
Wonderful.
So, when this forced the Hurricane Harvey victims to swear allegiance to Israel if they wanted aid, that was 2017. And then 3 years later, in 2020, the George Floyd thing happened. And Greg Abbott, like, he made sure to be out in front. Like, he visited George Floyd's family. He went to George Floyd's funeral and, like, prayed to the golden casket wearing a mask. And there's just been a lot happening in Texas that's made it evident that Greg Abbott is an empty suit or a puppet for foreign interests.
Yeah.
And it's
weird.
really, I find it disgusting. Well, can I say one more thing about Texas?
Yeah, go ahead.
So last month on April 15th, or I guess that's 2 months ago now, a town in Texas near Austin, San Marcos, Texas. San Marcos proposed a resolution to redirect $4.4 million in taxpayer funds away from the Israeli military and towards priorities such as feeding women and children, addiction services, police, community programs. Just they didn't want to send their tax dollars to the ongoing war in Israel, which is, I think, a very reasonable thing to ask. And this is a very poor city. It's one of the poorest cities in Texas, with a child poverty rate of 34%, and it's very Hispanic. Like, it's 50% Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
And all they wanted to do was say, no, we don't want to send our tax dollars to Israel. And in response, Greg Abbott, who I have been arguing is a foreign puppet, he responded by threatening. First of all, he called them Hamas. He called them Hamas, even though they're just like random Latino chicks. Well, not. And then he threatened their funding. Like, that's what he did.
Right.
Because they dissented from the Israel lobby. He threatened the entire town's funding for all their services. He wanted to take away their entire budget, which was like $20 million, and bankrupt the town. And that was his first reaction to any dissent from Israel. And so he wrote an open letter saying all of that. And it really, really made me angry. And most people haven't heard of this small town revolting. And so I wrote about this town revolting, and I wrote about the letter that he sent them, the threats that he sent. And to me, it was about whether cities in America can make autonomous decisions to not be beholden to a foreign government, to not be a vassal state to a foreign government without being blackmailed by their own governor and without having their basic community services stripped from them as punishment. And it really, ultimately, Greg Abbott won that fight. the city council voted not to condemn sending their tax dollars to Israel because primarily, like, they didn't want their town to go bankrupt as a result.
It's so strange. So many cases of not putting the American people first. And yeah, it makes you question how many of these people are just empty skin suits for foreign officials. And it's quite concerning. Quest Fanning donated $5. He said, "Why are half of Congress dual citizens?" Think emoji, think emoji. Is that true? Not half of them, surely, right? Or is that just hyperbole, Quest Fanning? But
well, first of all, that's illegal to ask under the new Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Which would codify the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism on a national level. And one of the explicit examples of anti-Semitism that would be illegal is insinuating that Zionists or Jewish people in America have a dual loyalty.
So you can't even insinuate that. That's insane to me. That's so concerning.
Yeah, as for the factual accuracy of it, I think I asked Grok that question once, and it didn't really give me an answer. So I've seen people say, like, there are a few dozen, but I can't really confirm.
Well, there you have it, you guys. If you are interested, I'm in reading the article in full. I recommend it. Please go read it. I am going to, obviously, when we get off this this interview, this call here with Chris, I will show you guys the article and show you Chris's Twitter account and a Substack so you guys can go and find it and read it. It's free to read, and it's chock full of that necessary information. And, like I said, this is something that the American people, I think, at least are perhaps tangentially aware. Throughout history, we always had like some degree of foreign lobbying, but it is obviously the foreign entanglements are getting obviously much worse, and we should certainly be more aware of it because our officials are pushing for policies that clearly, as Chris has detailed here, are removing resources from Americans at this point. So this is something we should all be aware of. And like you've beautifully articulated, we should put the Constitution first above anything else here. And that's the goal of this show. So, engaging with the conversation and the dialectic to at least promote those views. So thank you so much, Chris, for coming on. Are there any closing thoughts you want to end on before we get off here? Because we are reaching our 30-minute mark. And then I will show your article.
No, I mean...
Pretty much said what
I'm writing part 2 right now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to write about, but there's always attacks on free speech from the Israel lobby. So, like, I'm trying to pivot away from academia to writing about politics more broadly for several reasons, but just because I think it's a more important topic right now. So that's like what I'm writing about moving forward, and I'm trying to do more speaking about it. And thanks for having me. This was great. I loved like having a platform to like talk, and thank you very much.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, thank you for coming on, and maybe I'll get you on next time for your next article. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Cool.
Okay. Everyone, we will go on a commercial break. Stay tuned. We still have a lot more to talk about. And stay tuned so I will show you Chris's article here. We'll be right back.
This is what we hold. Values that keep us grounded still. Stand up for what is right. Don't let the world make your will. Freedom and balance, it's here to stay. So let's embrace.
Watch me on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X this Saturday. And that will start at the same time, 5 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. Central Time.
What we hold, values that keep us grounded still. Stand up for what is right. Don't let the world make your will. Freedom and balance, it's here to stay. So let's embrace.
Watch me on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on X this Saturday. And that will start at the same time, 5 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. Central Time.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises.
Okay, everyone, we are back. Thank you for tuning in to that wonderful interview. Again, it's one of those things that people don't really talk about. I don't think American citizens are all that aware of the foreign influence and the foreign lobbying that occurs in the United States. As someone that I like to say I'm America first, and I know a lot of conservatives like to say they're America first and propose an America first policies, it's still important that we talk about these subjects, even if they're not unpopular to talk about. And so I'm thankful for Chris for putting that article out there and coming on and talking about this. I also forgot to read, hold on a second, I saw the $1 donation from Quest Fanning earlier. You wrote, I remember the part of HBO's The Swamp where Tom Massey, pre-wife death and not caring anymore, mentioned that almost every congressman had an APAC as an APAC individual. That's insane. Thank you, Quest Fanning, for that donation and that information. But and for those that are interested, Quest, I think you'll enjoy the article, and I know a lot of people that are watching probably will as well. I'm going to show you guys this article, where you can find it, and where you can find Chris's Twitter once again. So this is the article. Here's the title. You can find it at Carl Stack. That is his Substack. You just go to carlstack.com with a K, Carl Stack. And it is this article right here, The Zionist Onslaught Against Freedom of Speech, Part 1. So we're in the first part of this article, and here you go. And I just wanted to show you this map here. Across America, 38 states and counting have already passed laws banning individuals and businesses from boycotting Israel. And this is what I was referencing in the interview. I couldn't pull it up during the interview because I had too many windows going on during the interview with me and Chris in the screen. But this is the map. These are states with restrictions on Israel boycotts. Boycotts are, again, what we discussed in the stream, not engaging with organizations that aren't, engaging with Israel, basically. And here we have the red is all past legislation. The pink are through executive order, through the governor. And then we have no restrictions. I can safely and gladly say that Washington State is still gray here, from where I currently reside. But as you can see, for the most part, already statewide, there has been legislation passed to have restrictions on Israel boycotts. So, there you have it. So that is the article, and you guys can go and find. This is the San Marcos thing that he was referencing. So, it's not too lengthy of a read. I do recommend it. It does have a lot of information in there. These are the donation or the money that legislators have received from the. It says here the pro-Israel lobby. Okay, so. And one of them mentioned Marco Rubio in here. I'm trying to find. Here we go. Marco Rubio received over $1 million. Which is interesting. Given the conversation we had about Marco Rubio and the Mike Waltz situation earlier. So, because clearly he's a big proponent given this much money, but it's always important to track the money at the sources of the money that your legislators are getting their funds from. But as a Secretary of State, I wonder if Marco Rubio is trying to change his image a little bit. It'll be interesting to see moving forward what he continues to do as far as this topic is concerned. But of course, Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, like he's mentioned, are not on the same page there. They're voting no on the bill. It looks like here, and you can see by this is the tweet that he was referencing. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeting, "I will be voting no. It is my job to defend Americans' rights to buy or boycott whomever they choose without the government harshly fining them or imprisoning them," which is just insane. What I don't understand is why we are voting for a bill on behalf of other countries and not the president's executive orders, like for our country, which is what I've already mentioned here in the show today. Why is it that we have executive orders being pushed to better our country for Americans and the legislature isn't doing anything about it? Meanwhile, the courts are blocking it, okay? Especially as far as, immigration reform is concerned. But things like this get passed, or, in the process of getting passed, it seems like, although it's, died before, it's getting resurrected over and over and over again. I believe it's gotten resurrected 3 times. This is the 3rd time, if I'm not mistaken. But, we are passing legislation that effectively punishes Americans for boycotting. Very strange that this is happening. So I'm glad that Marjorie Taylor Greene said this and is aware of it, similar with Thomas Massie. Of course, Thomas Massie received $0.00 from AIPAC. So anyway, but I don't want to show the entire article. You guys have to go online yourself and find it. So please go. Where's the thing? I'm trying to find the thing here. So please go on Carl Stack at carlstack.com. This is his Substack, and you can go take a look at it and read it yourself. And this is Chris Burnett's Twitter. Of course, there's bio, and you can find him at Real Chris Burnett. Once again, that is at Real Chris Burnett. And then in his bio, if you want to find the Substack easier, you can just go in the bio, and there's the link. You click on it, and boom, there we have it. We have Carl Stack. Okay, so, and it's the picture with the Pepes. We have $5 from Row House. Thank you for joining, Row House. You just missed the interview. Unless you were here earlier, I highly recommend you go and, watch the interview while you can. But you sent in a link for me to cover, so let me cover that for you right now, Row House, since we have time. How about spending like this, Daniela? Let me take a look, Row House. Give me a second here. I have many windows open. I have to go in Rumble Studio to access it. Give me a second. Okay. Republicans are calling for Lindsey Graham to repay over $400,000 in taxpayer funds. Yes, Row House, we've just covered this on the stream. There we go. Oh, okay. Sorry if the Rumble Studio is a little bit dodgy right now. It's acting very strange. But anyway, Row House, as for your tweet, you tweeted Republicans are calling for Lindsey Graham to repay over $400,000 of taxpayer funds he used for his Ukraine trip. The trip he approved himself as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. No kidding. Better yet, Majority Leader Thune should remove him from the committee. Yeah, Rowhouse, we've just covered the Ukraine trip. Now, the Ukraine trip, you can go on back and see my thoughts on it, but my initial question was, again, what hotel costs over $400,000 in a third world country? It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, we've already covered this, but yes, Lindsey Graham clearly, I don't know if you saw his response, Rowhouse, but his immediate response was to say that it's all BS. It's not true. But even though the audit revealed that it was used for hotel expenses. Okay, so I'm not a genius. I am blonde. I don't know the world all too well, but when you have an audit that's saying that a certain amount of funds were used for hotel expenses, you would think that's what they were used for. Lindsey Graham came out and said that it was some agreement. What's the most money you've ever spent in a hotel, Daniela? Oh, Rowhouse, that is such a good question. I mean, I've stayed in a lot of places. I think it was some hotel in Vegas is perhaps the most expensive I've ever spent on a hotel. Now, hopefully in the future, it will be more expensive than that. Vegas is not like that pricey these days, but it must have been like one of the hotels on the Strip in Vegas as well. But I don't remember how much it was. I don't honestly want to think about it. But you also have those additional fees. You think you're gonna have. I forgot the name of the fee. There's like a fee you have to pay initially before you even can pay for the actual fee for the room. Expenses like Lindsay's boy toys. Okay, Quest. And now that's all alleged. That's a possibility. I'm not agreeing nor disagreeing with you on that one, but yeah, there's a lot of indiscriminate expenses that perhaps aren't even tapped into. But those expenses you're referring to, Quest, are probably coming straight out of his pocket. Allegedly. I'm not saying that's a fact. Would never say that's a fact. But it is allegedly. You deserve first-class plane tickets and 5-star hotels in Yellow Rowhouse. I think the same thing. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but one look at me and you can see that I'm a creature of luxury, right? So anyways, but yes, the Lindsey Graham story is disgusting. Obviously, knowing it's disgusting, given that it's being done at our own expense, especially when there's parts of the country that are completely destitute, in great need of greater infrastructure. Meanwhile, they're engaging in tasks like this with our money. I don't know. Is it worse than an evangelical, televangelist? I guess you could say a televangelist using their donations and their church donations for a private jet, or is this more disgusting? It's hard to say. I would have to say perhaps the Lindsey Graham situation, given that, he's taking money out of, against their own will, to fund these operations. At least if people donate to a church, you could make the argument that they have done it out of their own volition. And so whatever happens to their money happens, right? Accidentally suave. If I never saw or heard Lindsey Graham ever again, I could die happy. And that goes for most of us. I have been upgraded to $5K a night. Rooms a few times at Fairmont 5 stars. My favorite being Pittsburgh and Dallas. I've traveled quite frequently for work, actually, in the past. So to answer the question accurately, Rowhouse, I don't know if I can accurately say that the Vegas hotel, I believe it was Paris. It was a Paris hotel in Vegas, is the most luxurious I've stayed. I've stayed in rather luxurious hotels for work previously, but those are all, paid expenses. So I can't say with great certainty how much that costed. I would think that it was quite pricey given the location, the view, and the quality of the room. But I have a lot of stories with hotels, more so bad hotels than good hotels. But like I said, hopefully in the future I'll have better experiences. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, Nelson 65 with the $20. Nelson, you've outdone yourself today. A diamond collar for Leo.
Monster kill.
Nelson, that's so generous of you. Thank you so much. Where's my Leo pillow? Where's my Leo pillow? There it is. Leo would would be so happy right now. Have we reached the I don't know if we reached the $70 mark. If someone's keeping track, they can let me know. Let's see. We have 20. We have, oh gosh, I have to go back on my phone because my Rumble Studio isn't working. 25, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we got $40. We got $40. So it's pretty close to the Leo goal. We still have time, but Leo certainly is going to enjoy the diamond collar. Nelson 65. Thank you so much for your donation. Okay, you guys, I wanted to talk about Palantir. So only about 26 more to go. Exactly. Although probably not enough time if Daniela has to wrap it up in 10 minutes. Oh no, I still have some time. It's a Tuesday, so I can go on pretty much for as long as I want. So, I will, whoops. I still have a couple more stories for you guys because I want to touch on Palantir actually, and I don't know if you guys heard about the Palantir situation, but that's causing quite a stir online, especially within right-wing circles. So I'll be talking about Palantir next. So brace yourselves, whether that's something that spooks you or not. Frankly, it spooks me, and it makes me quite nervous. But Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, among many others, have founded this service, you guys, called Palantir. Have you heard of it? It was all over Twitter the other day because a Trump admin is seeking to perhaps contract it to do its bidding. But frequent customers of Palantir, for those that don't know, it's an organized, it organizes massive sets of data that's usually shared between, firms, private companies. But when you have massive sets of data, you need a system that organizes that. It's essentially like a CRM tool, okay? And so frequent customers of Palantir are like energy organizations, healthcare organizations, like I said, large-scale data sets, okay? Transportation. And another frequent customer of Palantir is the CIA, the FBI, okay? And the Department of Defense. So it's in good hands, right? All of our information, well, that's why people are getting a little uppity about this. Let's watch this video explaining in greater detail exactly what Palantir is. It's an 8-minute video. We won't watch all of it, but I think this gentleman here explains it fairly well about what we might get ourselves into and what the nation may rely on as a national CRM service. Let's watch.
Palantir is, and then I'll get into the strengths and weaknesses later in this video. But first, Palantir is essentially a system or a technology that ties together multiple systems. On the surface, it's sort of an interoperability-based solution that allows you to tie together multiple systems. A lot like middleware, if you remember the concept of middleware from 20 years ago, it's a technology that can help tie together siloed and disparate systems throughout an organization.
The EO, and we'll touch on the EO that's in question in relation to Palantir, calls it information silos. So that's sort of like a phrase you can work by, but it's essentially siloing off all these massive data sets and the massive consumer information. Great number of these contacts.
However, it does a lot more than that. It also provides data processing and data reporting capabilities. It even provides artificial intelligence and machine learning to analyze and predict some of that data that's captured within the system. It also includes an operational layer too that allows you to manipulate and transact on data and then push that data back into their native systems. So it's almost like it's an ERP system or an enterprise-wide enterprise system without necessarily needing to rip out the guts or the back office systems that are already in place. Now, Palantir has 3 different types of core offerings. I'm going to talk about Palantir in general throughout this video, but I do want to break down what the 3 core systems are. First, you have Palantir Foundry. Palantir Foundry is the more common system that we see within the Palantir.
So these are the 3 different versions of the software, basically. He's explaining. We can quickly listen to this and wrap it up here.
Their suite of products. And Foundry is that operating system that ties together data, collects data, allows you to manipulate that data. and integrate that data
It sounds like quite effective, I would say, quite helpful for these
across
organizations.
multiple
But
systems.
I can't quite understand.
There's also Palantir Gotham, and Gotham is really
Palantir Gotham, everyone. Quite the name.
a way to leverage the data that's captured in Foundry in a way that leverages artificial intelligence to provide decision analysis. So it can provide you different scenarios and different artificial intelligence-driven outcomes based on those scenarios so that you can make decisions based on that AI and based on the data that's been captured within the system. And then finally, you have Palantir Apollo, which is the sort of operating system
I like
that
that name,
allows you
Apollo.
to manage and tie together workflows across multiple systems and multiple functions within an organization. Now, Palantir is commonly used in government, in military, and aerospace sort
Like we've mentioned, frequent consumers of this are the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Defense, as he's mentioned, security.
of environments, but it's increasingly being used in the private sector as well. For example, complex supply chains can benefit from.
Accidentally Suave just made a brilliant comment. You wrote, our information gets passed around more than a fresh victim at a Diddy party. Beautifully said, and perhaps rather accurate, Accidentally Suave. Thank you for that comment.
Palantir. Utilities and other field-based organizations that have disparate crews and inventory and systems can be another beneficiary of Palantir. But
Okay,
regardless
so-
of what industry you're in,
This guy's kind of boring, but it was necessary to watch so we have a better understanding of what Palantir is. Now, given what this man has said, Palantir doesn't sound like all that bad. I mean, it's an organizational system, right? And it functions in a way where a lot of these organizations, like we mentioned, that have these massive data sets that can be quite difficult to manage, can rely on this service, on this software that organizes it and manages it for them. Now, of course, I don't think I have to explain in great depth or detail why this would necessarily be concerning, especially when you have a centralized system like this that's used all throughout the government, okay? And the reason why this is a talking point right now is because of this executive order that doesn't specifically mention Palantir, but there is conversations going around that Palantir will be contracted to execute the functions of this executive order. This is a stopping waste, fraud, and abuse by eliminating information silos. And this is what the purpose of the executive order is, stating removing unnecessary barriers to federal employees accessing government data and promoting their interagency data sharing are important steps toward eliminating bureaucratic duplication and inefficiency while enhancing the government's ability to detect overpayments and fraud. So, in a way, this is sort of like the extension of the Doge project to eliminate unnecessary bureaucratic bloat and cutting in half, hopefully in half, the inefficiency of the systems that we have relied on in the past, and combating or eliminating, as it says, the information silos that we have, the glut of that we have been facing for quite some time. I'm not going to read this executive order. It is quite technical, but all you guys have to know is that the goal and the objective of this EO is to eliminate some of that bureaucratic bloat, okay? Which I would say is a good endeavor. It's a good thing to do. And that is essentially what the administration has promised us that they would do. That's why Doge was set up, okay? But there is questions about exactly how safe this is, and in fact, one of the founders of Palantir has been found saying that here he is, Alex Karp, has been bragging about Palantir stopping the rise of the far right in Europe. Now, exactly how does this do this? I don't know. But that's what he's been saying. And although, whatever he means by far right, I have no idea this guy's political or ideological inclinations. However, this is kind of concerning, because it could, given this guy's vision here, perhaps impede once again on free speech and impede on some of our liberties, okay, of expression. Let's listen to what he says here. It's just like a compilation, but let's listen.
Look, we built PG, which single-handedly stopped.
Once again, this is a founder alongside the co-founder with Peter Thiel of Palantir.
The rise of the far right in Europe.
Single-handedly stopped the rise of the far right in Europe.
The primary way to create peace in this world is to scare our adversaries when they wake up,
when they go to bed, while they're seeing their mistress, whatever they're doing, they're scared. If you want to have peace in the world, that's how you do it. And that is our peace-giving offering.
If you want to have peace in the world, you need to scare people. You need to scare people if they are of certain political affiliations that you may find detestable or offensive or questionable. And we're not allowed to let people be privy to any of these ideas simply because it is perhaps offensive to you. That's what he's saying.
It's Christmas season to our adversaries. We are going to help this government be more transparent, work with Partnership in America, and our goal is everyone who does not like what we stand for, thinks we're useful idiots, is going to be scared and uncomfortable more tomorrow than today.
Scared and uncomfortable more tomorrow than today, you guys. Interesting stuff. Here's an article that I think explains this from the New American. Palantir to build centralized database on Americans. Let's give this a skim to give us an idea, to contextualize the issue for us. The Trump administration is quietly assembling a centralized data infrastructure on the American population. Okay, this will explain it a little bit better here. I would say more consumer friendly, because we had all this flowery language by this guy, but let's have a salt of the earth American take on what this means, okay? To build it, they've enlisted Palantir, a powerful data mining company with deep ties into the intelligence world. Co-founded by Mr. Thiel, Trump's longtime ally and mega donor, Palantir was originally seeded by the CIA to help government make sense of large, fragmented data sets. In March, Trump signed the EO that we've just read, demanding the agencies eliminate information silos. The real implications are sweeping. By ordering agencies to pool citizen data, Trump signaled interest in something once unthinkable, a master file on Americans. Okay. Much of the groundwork has been laid by the Department of Government Efficiency, also Thiel's longtime business partner, officially tasked with, quote, modernizing federal technology and software. Musk described his mission is deceptively simple, making computers talk to each other. But beneath the phrase lies a sweeping AI-first agenda. Since its inception, DOGE has been embedding artificial intelligence all across federal agencies, automating analysis, standardizing systems, and preparing government data for large-scale consolidation. Welcome to the new AI world order, everybody. Are you ready? I've been using ChatGPT quite frequently. I'm finding myself using ChatGPT quite frequently lately, and I have to catch myself because it is more effective than Google, I must say. And it'll be interesting to see going forward how jobs will actually, sort of like work around AI systems, because AI systems are replacing a lot of, especially artistic endeavors. Obviously, these endeavors and these jobs are not going to completely phase out. I think that they're going to actually restructure around the use of AI. So obviously, we'll work symbiotically with it. But it is interesting seeing how individually, at least on a personal level on my end, I've been using AI to look stuff up. But the personalized approach and the personalized experience of using AI is quite interesting. I would say in some ways, yeah, it's more effective than just using a search engine. It's very interesting. And how more and more systems, including the government databases, are relying on these systems to sort of project forward what we should expect, and analyzing these systems and putting them together so we could project forward and predict certain patterns of behavior and certain decision-making models. And the decision sciences is a field that's really going to blow up, I think. I like decision sciences, and I wanted to actually major in it. I never did. I suppose political science is somewhat related to it. But we also have $5 from Mr. Lipserdi. Thank you so much, Mr. Lipserdi, for joining us today. And you wrote, respect for everyone. It's so good to see you, as usual, on the stream. Thank you for joining. We're talking about Palantir right now. We had a wonderful interview earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it with Chris Brunet. You can rewind back to stream and watch it. We talked about foreign entanglements in the United States and how our free speech rights are perhaps going to be abridged to a degree. So if you're interested in that, please go watch it. But it was pretty good. I've seen some artists will use AI to figure out their composition of a piece, but then paint it by hand. Hopefully there will always be a market for handmade art. I hope so, Accidentally Suave. I really do, because You know, I'm a writer. I have some artistic endeavors that I'm pursuing. I don't want AI to replace me. That's one of my greatest fears. It's not the same. I understand that relying on AI to a certain degree is effective. It is efficient. It's all about efficiency, right? Saving money, saving time. Those are the two biggest factors in almost any professional endeavor. So I completely understand the use of AI and in the ways that you've just described in a symbiotic method. But, you know, there is still that anxiety at the back of a human's mind, that always thinking that we're going to be replaced. I think that's going to be the relationship that humans will have with technology moving forward. The field of machine ethics is going to greatly expand these next few decades. And given how complex these systems are and how far we're going to get into this, it will be interesting to see how our definition of how we define these implements and these systems, and how humans should properly react to them. Because, you know, again, machine consciousness is a conversation that is a very difficult one to have. And it's impossible to say whether or not that's even achievable. I don't think it is. But the greater concern, I think, that we need to consider is the projection of ourselves into these systems and these technologies, and how human beings associate with each other in relation to them. Because I don't know if you guys ever talked with like a large language model before, but essentially it is sort of like responding to using your own decision-making processes in your own language. Good night, Quest Fanning. Thank you so much for joining the stream and donating today. It's very much appreciated. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. The girls are getting sleepy. I'm so sorry. I know you're an EST, so I hope you can get some sleep here. Take care. Anyways, I don't know what I'm going on about. I guess what I'm trying to say is seeing how humans react to this technology and these systems, I think, is also going to be a very defining feature of the civilization that we presently live in. Because in the way that we relate to these systems is going to define human consciousness and human existence here in the greater Western world, or really in any civilization. So it'll be really interesting to see, like, as we proceed forward with the development of civilization, how effectively we are going to use this technology to our favor, and how we are going to do so symbiotically. Because I feel like rejecting these systems are, I hate to say it, rejecting these systems totally is going to stagnate the production of future technologies and also the creation of civilization. And that's what I'm concerned about. But at the same time, I can understand the constant anxiety a human has in relation to these. So, but I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. That's what I do. Okay, let's read this section. Palantir and the deep state, okay? Palantir could be considered the deep state's private sector arm. Founded in 2003, it's pretty old, it's been around for a while, with seed funding from, NQTel, the CIA's venture wing. Palantir was built to turn surveillance into software, automating what intelligence agencies once did manually. Okay? The CIA has its arms, its tentacles all over this. So that is something to be aware of if the administration wants to move forward with this. Before Palantir, I'm sure they are aware of it though. Before Palantir, analysts sifted through siloed data, satellite feeds, phone logs, visa records, financial reports by hand. Not the most effective process. Palantir's platforms have changed that. They ingest fragmented data streams, map relationships in real time, and flag patterns of interest. What once took days of human labor now takes seconds of computation. Palantir holds contracts with the DoD, CIA, I've already read these off to you, the NSA, FBI, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, DHS, and HHS. It supports battlefield analytics, predictive policing, and pandemic logistics, and is expanding into financial surveillance through the IRS and SSA. The company runs 2 flagship platforms. So we've already listened to this in the video. Gotham is mentioned here. It's designed for military and intelligence use, keeps track helps track insurgents, maps networks, and flags suspicious activity. Foundry, its civilian counterpart, analyzes people like you and I, powers everything from disaster response and drug approval workflows to vaccine distribution and law enforcement surveillance. Palantir also supplies the U.S. Army with battlefield intelligence through Titan, a real-time sensor fusion system with logistics forecasting through Vantage. This isn't enterprise software. It's the digital nervous system of the national security state, privatized, optimized, and deeply embedded. Palantir doesn't just analyze information, it defines what matters. And once installed, it becomes indispensable. Okay, so I'll end it there. But I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up on what's happening here and how your information and even your decision-making and future decision-making is being presently analyzed in real time by these deeply embedded systems within our government, also within private organizations. Because in a way, it is a surveillance system. And, we're already all aware of how greatly surveilled we are, okay? And you could say how greatly long-housed we are through the deep state, but this is just an extension of that and facilitates that behavior to a greater degree. And it's worthy to ask ourselves, is this something that we want our government to do? Do we want these centralized systems to analyze all of our decision-making, all of our previous, and it goes with where you travel, what you purchase. It all relates to all of our decision-making processes. And so not only does it analyze that, it potentially will predict what we can do. And that's what concerns me. So that's where I'm coming from on this. I understand that it's a very effective way to, it's a very effective way to go through these data sets. And it probably is a question of national security. So I am sort of divorced on this topic here, but ultimately, as someone as big of an individualist as I am, and as an isolationist, I do take great concern with where this is heading towards. So, but that's where I'm coming from. You guys can, let me know in the chat what you guys think about that. $10 from Row House. Thank you so much, Row House. It's so good to see you and your generosity in the chat yet again in the stream. Thank you. Thank you. You wrote, when did you or do you film your Jubilee debate? Then when is it released? Can the topic be shared? I don't know if I can share the topic. I haven't given clearance on that. It is an episode of Surrounded. It is ideological. So that's all I'll say. But I'll be filming by the end of this month. So June 22nd is when I'm filming. I'll be out that weekend in LA. And so it's on a Saturday. But when is it going to be released? I don't know how long it takes for them to release an episode. But I will be filming by the end of June. But thank you so much for your donation, Row House. And that brings us even closer to the field. If you guys want to see a circus freak today, that's something you guys are into. But thank you so much, Row House. That is very much appreciated. Centralized sounds like a single point of failure to me, but then again, I'm paranoid. No, you're absolutely right. Accidentally suave. You're absolutely right. When you centralize systems like that, it's a two-headed beast, because on the one hand, for efficiency and for security, centralizing these systems is pretty helpful, and it makes sense why a nation, especially one as advanced as our own, would want to do that. But at the same time, once you centralize something, there's always a greater possibility of how would I say this? It's like a force multiplier in a way. Once you are experiencing an attack, I don't know if I'm using that phrase correctly, but essentially, if you are under attack or you're experiencing a hit, if something is centralized, it just multiplies the effects of that. So it is concerning to me as well. You're absolutely right. As a matter of national security, is it perhaps more dangerous to centralize this information? Perhaps. But I'm not a national security expert either. I just cover the news. So what else are you guys saying? The scary thing is when AI rewrites its code, which just happened to prevent itself from being turned off. Very interesting, Nelson65. Yeah, that's also a possibility. $10 away from Leo? I think we were 26. We are, let me see, row house. Wait a second, 15, 40, 55. We're 5, wait. No. We were 40, 55. I have to go back and read, see the donations or a house. Let me count them. Hold on. 5, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's 25, 45, 50, 60. Yeah, we're $10 away.
Monster kill.
Away from the Leo goal, everybody. If you want to see a dysgenic circus freak, now is your moment. For now, you only get the pillow, but you can always witness natural horrors beyond your comprehension. I'm sorry, man-made. I literally said the opposite of what the phrase is. In a way, Leo is sort of like a man-made horror, because he was bred. His original owners were breeders, and not really good ones, not really nice ones. But man-made horrors beyond your comprehension, if that's something you guys want to witness, we just need $10 more and we can bring him out. But I have one more story for you guys. It's about a cartoon, one of my favorite cartoons. It is about King of the Hill. We'll be covering that. They're having a reboot, apparently. So I'll be right back, everyone. So, yeah, the episode might come out July, row house. Yes. Stay tuned. We will be right back. And I'll play you guys one more commercial before my next story.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Qatar, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Qatarama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay, everyone, welcome. I see here in the chat we have $5 from Nelson65. Thank you so much, Nelson65. As usual, you always come through, especially for the Unleash the Beast. We just need $5 more to get the creature out here. And you wrote, he isn't a man-made horror, he is a sweetheart. You know what, Nelson? That is so true. I agree with you. He is a sweetheart. He's my sweetheart, and I know all of you guys love him as well, but he is quite frightening to look at sometimes. When you come between Leo and his food, Nelson, let me tell you, you've only seen his sweet side, but he can get quite nasty, quite monstrous if you get between him and his food. So, but thank you so much, Nelson65. So, to reach the Leo goal, hold on, I have a whole thing for this. To reach the Leo goal, we just need $5 more, and we will unleash the beast, everybody. $5 more is all it takes. So, that's him screaming out in the cave there. Okay, I have one more story to cover with you guys, and I know I'm not the only one that loves this show. King of the Hill, right? I used to watch it all the time when I was in college. Not in high school, but when I was in college, every night I would watch Adult Swim at 8 p.m. my time. That's when it was on, and I'd make myself a pot of green tea, and I would drink that and watch King of the Hill every single weekday, you guys. I'm not joking. It was one of my most favorite shows, and it turns out that it's coming back. Better than the Alamo and almost as good as propane. An all new season of King of the Hill drops August 4th on Hulu. Are you guys ready and excited for the King of the Hill reboot, everybody? Oh, there's a new black guy. Look at that. Wearing a mask. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here. Obviously, Peggy and Hank are a little older here. Their son, looking sharp as ever. They really aged Peggy. I don't feel like they're really kind to the Pegster. But Bobby, looks like he belongs in college. He's probably a little older. You should record him being a beast. Well, Nelson, what do you think the pillow is about? I took this picture of Leo when he was being angry, and because I wanted to get an image of him that was, embodied the Beast brand. So that's him angry. But you're right, I should record a video of him. I need to advertise his merch, specifically his pillow, more often. Anyways, that's King of the Hill, everybody. But unfortunately, they have run into some sad news here, because there has been a shooting that has occurred in relation to the show. What to know about this fatal shooting of the King of the Hill actor Jonathan Joss? Of course, he played, for those that don't know, Mr. Redcorn. And he got caught up in something. It turns out Dale found out what was happening to his wife. That is a dark joke. My apologies, everyone. But this is a story. What prompted the shooting of Jonathan Joss, a Native American voice actor best known for his work on the animated television series King of the Hill, remained unclear on Tuesday. While Joss's husband has claimed the person who killed the actor yelled violent homophobic slurs, before opening fire, San Antonio police have said they found no evidence whatsoever to indicate that Mr. Joss's murder was related to a sexual orientation. Police did not respond to multiple emails on Tuesday seeking additional information on the cause of the shooting. Since Joss's killing, friends, actors Joss worked with, and fans have honored the actor's memory with tributes and fond remembrances. So the details surrounding his death are a little bit murky. We don't exactly know what's happened. His partners claimed it was homophobia. Law enforcement doesn't think that's the case, but regardless, it is quite unfortunate this had to happen, and I wonder how this impacts the show itself. Because like we said, he did voice act Mr. Redcorn. So I don't know if they recorded like all the takes they were needed. Redcorn, of course, isn't like I wouldn't say he's a very very necessary character in the show. I suppose leading on to later in the show he was, but especially not in the beginning. So I don't know how this will impact the show today with the reboot, but regardless, what does he have in his arm there? That looked like a box of tampons, but that can't be it. He doesn't even have a wife. That's not possible. Candles, flowers, and notes make up the makeshift memorial for the voice actor. On Gay Pride Month, too, that is quite unfortunate. Well, in remembrance of him, everybody, I do have these clips of the King of the Hill funniest moments that we can watch together. And I really do hope that the new show will be at least somewhat as entertaining as this one. I really do. Because the show is, the older show is pretty good. And like I said, it was one of my favorites.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I live in California last 20 years, but first come from Laos.
Huh?
Laos. We lay ocean.
The ocean? What ocean?
We are lay ocean. From Laos, stupid. It's a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It's between Vietnam and Thailand, okay? Population 4.7 million.
How many experience I've seen this happen way too many times, and I live in Washington State. I can only imagine what it's like down south. Very true.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
Oh.
Trick or treat.
Oh my, aren't you boys the scariest?
Yeah, man, talk about dang old boo, man.
Mrs. Hill, in your own words, your own Spanish words, please tell the judge what happened with little Lupe.
Su Pudenor. Yo poder ver que usted ser caballo razonable. Yo estoy muy embarazada por lo que pasa por Lupe.
Kicker.
I do believe I'll give room service a jangle and have them send up some etouffee.
Classic conservative move right there. If only more parents did that these days, I think we would have less, how could I say, the lessening of the proliferation of social contagions within our country. So it's very good to see that embodied, at least in this show back then.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Oh, Mickey, oh, so fine, I wanna believe. You take me by the heart and you take me by the hand. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, I want you to understand. Oh, God, Mickey, don't play my heart.
Pursue our relationship.
So we're gonna do it.
Yes, we are going to do it.
I like it when you talk dirty.
Therefore, I am now going to drive over there.
I don't remember this episode,
baby.
actually.
Oh, I just had phone sex. An F in English? Bobby, you speak English.
Hank.
Who wants to be...
You don't cut that man.
I have to say, I think that Bill, Dale used to be my favorite, actually, of the four, but as time progressed further, I think I liked Bill more. Not because I relate to him or anything like that. Maybe it's because I felt worse for him, but I felt like he was a far more compelling character, especially his character development throughout the show. But that's I've always grown a fondness for Bill the most. Boomhauer. No one likes. Well, I don't know a lot of people like Boomhauer. He doesn't really have much of a character development. I do like Hank, of course, but Bill is perhaps the one that I see the most potential in as a character, and I hope that the new show will examine his life more than what the original show did, because I feel like even though the original show did show obvious progression within Bill's character, I always felt like they could have done more, you know? And it was never enough for me. I feel like there could have been more with Bill. I think we have reached our Leo goal. Row House, you've pulled through, all of us in. You pulled the chat through, and for the few remaining that are left, get to witness the one and the only
Monster Kill.
Thank you so much, Row House. You asked, does this get us to Leo? And yes, Row House, it does. We have reached the Leo goal. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself aside here for just a minute. I'm going to be bringing him in, everyone.
Monster Kill.
The dogs have been unleashed. And no, I don't mean those dogs. I mean my dog. Everyone, stay tuned. I'm going to be bringing Leo in, and you guys get to witness Leo here in the last few moments of the stream. Everyone, stay tuned. I will be bringing him right back.
You know I'm standing firm while the world keeps a turn, trying to shake my free, but I ain't gonna frown. But darling, hold your goblin hand. All you evil can dictate, but I'm learning to stand with the spirit of the wild. Yeah, I'm ready to fight. I know more mindless cranking soul. I got my eyes open. Heavy, I can't sway. I'm fighting for the rights, and call me the free range mind. Never gonna waver. I'm a rebel with a cause. While others search for safety, I'll be raising my voice. Honey, I got my dreams and they're worth all my woe. I'll be living for tomorrow. Let the whole world know. Cause freedom not a game, it's a rhythm in my soul. Reaching for the stars, yeah, that's how I roll. Baby, I can't sway. I'm fighting for my rights, and call me the free range mind. We got a fire burning, and it won't be the same. With every stride and stride I take, I'll always proclaim. Stand tall, stand proud, let the people know my name. In the night we rise, in the morning the same. Baby, I can't sway, I'm fighting for my rights, and call me the free range mind. We stand for our rights, we won't back down. We'll fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. We'll the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout from the sweet door say the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret.
Monster Kill. Monster Kill.
Everyone, it is Leo time.
Oh, my little chihuahua, you run so when you dance on your paws like you're on a spree. Chasing your tail, what joy you bring me, my tiny furry friend. You light up my day in your 1950 style. Let's dance and play.
Everyone, this is the Beast finally unleashed. Thank you everyone that has donated for the cause. And this is the man-made horror, lovely horror that you see here in front of you. Of course, Leo, for those that don't know, here's some lore. You're balancing that hat on your head very well, Leo. Good job. Leo was rescued by yours truly, and his original owners were so dissatisfied with his appearance that they wanted to drown him. So I took them off their hands because I wasn't going to let that happen. And so Leo here, even though he may be a genetic abomination, he is 3 generations inbred after all. I have the DNA test to prove it. He is still very much loved, and he makes an appearance once in a while on Culturama if we get enough donations. So thank you everyone that have contributed for the cause here, because what you see before you is quite a remarkable feat of nature. He has missing teeth, he has extra toes, a few extra nipples, and not very smart. Very, very low IQ. But he has a heart of gold. And so this is why I like to bring him on behind a specific paywall so you all can see him and marvel at him all to yourselves, everyone. So here he is. Let's play the song one more time. This is Leo.
Oh, my little chihuahua, you run so fast. With your goofy little bark, always having.
This is, of course, his gay pride outfit. And it's all rainbow colored, everyone. Okay, Leo, that's enough. Leo, we did talk about foreign entanglements today. We've talked about the foreign lobby in the stream today, and I wanted to ask you this question. Let us know about your opinion of the AAA Act of 2025 and of foreign lobbying here in the United States. Do you think it is a pressing issue and something that voters should be aware of, as well as future voters? Or do you think it's not that big of a deal? Give us your scoop on this, Leo. Fascinating. Thank you so much, Leo. Okay, everyone. Well, that was Leo. I don't have any other stories here, but we can watch a couple more clips of the King of the Hill segment. But other than that, you guys got him just for the nick of time. So thank you for those that have donated. It's been very good. Leo, what do you think of King of the Hill? Do you like this show?
Friend, Dale.
Well, I thought I was your best friend, Hank.
Yeah, well. Bobby, you cheated.
There was money on the game. Besides,
Leo's kind of like Bobby for me.
Ass.
Beams rotting, and over there you've got your termite damage, and look what I can do.
How is that even possible? Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want...
It's a classic meme right there. I've seen this clip one too many times.
A picture of a goddamn hot dog.
We should do the rodeo together. All you need is your parents' permission. Oh, Dad, can I?
Sure, son. You can ask your mom.
Imagine if our boys went into battle with hair in their eyes. They'd be at a marked disadvantage, I tell you what.
Hey, hillbillies! Look at my new SUV! Oh, this baby's so huge, if I crash into your puny pickup, you get flattened like pancake! Ha-ha!
I know Leo's
Where are you
favorite
keep
character
it,
is
smart guy?
Khan.
It doesn't even fit in your garage.
Maybe I keep garage in SUV! Kiss my ass!
Man, it dang old complicated,
Actually,
you know,
no,
man.
Leo's favorite character is Boomhauer because just like Leo, Boomhauer cannot speak the English language very well. Oh my goodness, my cup is in the... My mistake, it was in the view of the camera lens. I'm sorry. Well, everyone, I see viewership is thinning out. It is getting late, especially on the East Coast. X is working, not Rumble. Oh my goodness. Well, Rumble is working on my end, Elson. I hope you can still watch me on some platform. I hope you saw the Unleashing the Beast part, because, you know, you and Rowhouse and Quest Fanning and others were the ones that funded it. I hope you could have seen that. But of course, you've seen plenty, right? But here he is, the one and only man himself that you guys paid for, Leo the Beast. Very good. And with all his hot political takes. I'm sorry. Rumble is finicky, Nelson. I'm back. Perfect. But, you know, I've been streaming now here for, 3 hours now. Well, on Tuesdays, we can always go longer. But unless you guys have any other things you want me to talk about, any other last-minute topics, now is your chance. Because I think I'm going to start wrapping up the show here. I've exhausted all the topics I have here. We talked about Palantir. We've talked about Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu's relationship. We've had a hard-hitting interview today with Chris Brunet, which was great, and his very informative article. You know, King of the Hill, obviously, and Taco Tuesday, which is what we hit today in the White House. Every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday at the White House, according to Democrats. But every single senator voted yes. Trump's No Tax on Tips Act just passed 100 to 1. Is that true? Leo. Let me see here. Let me go on X. That's breaking news, isn't it? No tax on tips. Okay, that's from the Babylon Bee, so I don't want to... Benny Johnson, here we go. Breaking, the Senate has passed President Trump's No Tax on Tips Act 100-0 vote. Promises made, promises kept. That's wild. That's wild. There you go.
On tips.
Yeah! Oh, yes! Promises made, promises kept, ladies and
No
gentlemen.
tax on tips. Yeah!
Amy Klobuchar calls the One Big Beautiful Bill, which includes historic middle-class tax cuts, no tax on tips over time, and an expanded child tax credit, a betrayal of the middle class. She's either lying or she didn't read the bill.
On the table.
Really?
To be very clear, this is not a big, beautiful bill. It's a big, beautiful betrayal of the middle class and working people in this country. It's a betrayal of seniors in nursing homes, where half of those in assisted living rely on Medicaid. It's a betrayal of families struggling to put food on the table, and it's a betrayal of the middle class. To be very clear, this is...
Well, who cares about what hags have to say, right? Well, there you go. Thank you for letting us know, Nelson. Otherwise, it wouldn't have... Just in the nick of time... Well, it probably was happening. I mean, it was 7 hours ago, so I just wasn't... I wasn't aware of it, but thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Nelson. Well, I think I'm going to call it here, folks. Thank you for everyone that has tuned in and has shared the stream. Thank you for liking the stream shared. Of course, you know, when you have a chance, please go on the Cold Trauma collection on ap4libertyshop.com to get yourself pillows, mugs, sweatshirts. You can get this wonderful Cold Trauma Zeitgeist logo atomic pillow. You can get I call it the Zeitgeist pillow. I don't know why. It's a logo. You can get the Leo pillow. You can get a body pillow, a small body pillow of me. That's out there wearing a spacesuit. We can get mugs. And, of course, my most popular, there's a Cold Trauma mug. And you can get the most popular item, which is the Atomic Blonde Coffee. Once again, that is on the AP, the letter A, the letter P, the number 4, libertyshop.com. Hello, Fiery Waco. Thank you. Was that a wave? Good to see you here on the show today in the chat. So please go on there, take a look at the Cold Trauma collection. Once again, it's the Cold Trauma collection on the AP4 Liberty shop. Leo has good thoughts on tonight. I agree, Rowhouse. Leo's always, he's pretty well read for being a dog with a low IQ. But let me do my outro here. There we go. Where is my outro song? There it is. All right, everyone. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I really appreciate all of your guys' donations, your wonderful and clearly informative comments. And I'm so glad that we could have brought Leo on to join us here today. It was a great interview, right, Leo? It was a great interview, great topics we've covered. And I want to wish you guys all a wonderful evening. And to God bless you. Keep fighting the good fight. And let's continue reclaiming, reoccupying the zeitgeist and all the institutions within the United States so we can reclaim traditional American values back once again. I hope you guys have a blessed Tuesday evening, and I'll see you once again on Thursday, everybody. God bless you, and have a great night. We'll see you on Thursday.
Marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now.